Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today we'll be playing 2021's Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch. This game was developed by Mercury Steam, who is best known for developing the Castlevania Lords of Shadow series as well as the Metroid 2 remake. I think gameplay wise, the two main Castlevania Lords of Shadow games played very well, combining gameplay from such titles as God of War to even Shadows of the Colossus, but I felt theme and atmosphere wise, it felt more of a Lord of the Rings or a Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy title than anything that was gothic horror like Castlevania. It was a reboot, which I understand that sometimes you need to change the story to keep it fresh. However, with what they chose to do with the story, I did not like it at all and made me skeptical about the company working on any existing IPs beside their own, as they clearly have their own creative ideas and would be better suited for an original IP.
Outweighs the reward. Treat our lost assets with care, lady.
Entering the atmosphere in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That elevator leads to the depths of an underground facility. Signal quality is likely to be low. Remote communication remains difficult. Try to connect to the facility's network when you reach the bottom. That way, you can remain in contact. Any objections, lady?
To be fair, my understanding is that the Lords of Shadow series was originally not meant to be a Castlevania game, and Konami decided they wanted to make it a reboot of the series in the 7th gen series of consoles. There was also a 2.5D game developed for the 3DS and eventually on other consoles titled Castlevania Mirrors of Fate, but it had completely different gameplay. Instead of being like a gothic fantasy with God of War combat, in gameplay, it was like a Metroidvania game with some of the God of War like combat in 2D. Again, I did not like the direction of the story as it did not feel authentic for the franchise for me personally. That being said, I was shocked when I saw a remake of Metroid 2 Samus Returns being made by Mercury Steam. Not only was I shocked they chose to remake Metroid 2 of all games, but they chose Mercury Steam as a developer. This was sort of mind-blowing to me at the time based on how I and a lot of fans felt of how they handled the Castlevania franchise and how protective Nintendo is with their IPs.
Uploading data.
So, you've accessed a network station. Well done, Samus. I have reviewed your vital signs and video log from the data you uploaded. I've run a full analysis, but I cannot...
To my surprise, Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS was very well received, and it turned out that Mercury Steam was very faithful to the IP. Metroid Samus Returns is one of the few 3DS games I missed out on and regret not picking it up. I was kind of reluctant to pick it up. Mercury Steam was the developer, and knowing what they did with Castlevania made me cautious. I tried waiting for the price to drop as I felt like I was gambling on a title I was not sure I would like.
Return to your ship on the surface. This situation is precarious. Trust your instincts as you navigate upward. This planet appears to consist of multiple areas. Shuttles, elevators, and other modes of transport connect them. Keep an eye out for ways to reach the surface. The ship's location is marked on your global map. Check it for yourself. You may encounter pockets of low temperature. Your Metroid DNA renders you vulnerable to such environments. Spending time in cold areas will be harmful to you. There are many such cold areas scattered underground. Do not enter them with your basic power suit. One final thing. Underground interference.
Usually before purchasing a game, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what I like and have very few experiences as an adult where I've purchased a game I did not enjoy. I think if you play a lot of games over time, you develop a better understanding of what you like and what to look out for based on your taste. Being a Nintendo product, procrastination for a price drop isn't always the best way to go, as we learned with Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Being a physical collector, I try not to buy digital, and my procrastination in picking it up at the store when it was available ultimately made me miss out on it. Hopefully one day I'll be able to check it out, but until that day comes, there's Metroid Dread. I very much liked the first Metroid Prime, and I'm happy to see additional entries in that series, but my heart is with 2D Metroid games because that's what I grew up with, and that's what I'm most nostalgic about with the series. When I eventually heard a new 2D entry was being released, I was excited and I would finally be able to see for myself what a Mercury Steam Metroid game would be like. Metroid Dread is the 5th game in the mainline Metroid series that follows Metroid for the NES, Metroid 2, Samus Returns for the Game Boy and the remake on the 3DS, Super Metroid or Metroid 3 for the SNES, and Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. There's a brief explanation of some of the stories so far, which I edited out the text so you could see some of the imagery to get a basic idea without spoiling it for you if you decide you want to check out the previous games in the series. This game takes place sometime after Fusion, where the Galactic Federation investigates the remote planet ZDR after they receive evidence of the X-Parasite, which is a dangerous life form that can mimic any life form it infects, I guess kinda like the Thing. Anyway, the Federation sends 7 extraplanetary multi-form mobile identifier robots, or EMMIs for short, to the remote planet of ZDR to search for the parasite. After a while, the Federation loses communication with the EMMIs and sends Samus Aran to investigate. That's where Metroid Dread starts, as you find out the robots have been reprogrammed to attack Samus on sight. She needs to search ZDR for clues and try to put a stop to what's happening once and for all. Metroid Dread is a 2.5D platforming game structured much like the other Metroid games, where there is a large maze-like map that is blocked off by barriers that usually require a special item to proceed to explore the map further, unlocking new abilities along the way to keep it going until the entire map is unlocked and your mission is finished. Samus starts out with an arm cannon firing a basic attack as well as missile firing capabilities with an optional stationary ammo mode with a laser diode, a handy slide to evade and fit through small areas, and a parry and counter attack much like in games like Neo, Sekiro, or Stellar Blade. Usually there is a visual cue and you quickly tap the parry button to parry and then the attack button to counter. I was not used to this in a Metroid game, but after some time parrying and countering became fun to learn and master. Samus will of course acquire new moves and abilities throughout her journey that will overcome obstacles that were previously insurmountable. The EMMIs, which are now reprogrammed, will stalk you like a xenomorph from Alien, which adds a sense of tension and urgency in the game on top of the actual game's bosses. Luckily, there are rooms that let you take a breather when it becomes too stressful and you need a quick break. You'll also quickly soon figure out that these encounters are their own unique puzzles. Not only do you have to find ways to avoid them, you have to find the best route of escape that sometimes require a solution to get through on its own. If you get caught by them and do not perfectly parry, it's an instant game over. Due to the generous checkpoints, this is rarely frustrating and kind of fun. Samus thankfully is not helpless and just needs to find ways to charge her Omega Blaster, and can find an area to carefully charge and use it against the EMMIs to destroy them before being captured. I really enjoyed this addition to the game, as even though it's an action game, it feels like the puzzles are multi-layered and super fun to figure out. This Metroid is not hand-holding like some previous newer games in the series, like Fusion, where the game tells you exactly where you need to go. There is a helpful system where the map area will flash if there is a hidden item. There is also a helpful sticker system that you can add stickers to the map to place on areas of the map you wish to go back to once you've acquired whatever specific ability you need to get past that point. The levels are often well designed that wherever you need to go next often utilizes your most recently acquired ability and is nearby where you've acquired it. This is smart level design and lets you know you're basically headed in the right direction. Things may look overwhelming at times, but often the answer of what to do next is right in front of you or nearby. The graphics are pretty good. I feel like some of the basic enemy designs are too simple and could have utilized maybe some more detail or something more interesting in their design to stand out. Overall though, I think the graphics are pretty good. Sometimes I think the areas that can be destroyed that are hidden but required to be destroyed to finish the game could stand out a little bit more. This may be a personal problem due to the simple fact that I'm colorblind and some of the blocks don't stand out to me as well as maybe they do to others. Either way, sometimes I feel like I'm shooting walls randomly to find a block that can be destroyed, which wasn't a big enough deal to take away from my experience, and it didn't happen a lot. I do feel like it's something that I should mention though, since I'm talking about the overall game. The main characters, bosses, objects, and environments are all mostly brilliantly designed, so whatever shortcomings there are in presentation isn't a huge deal. There's also a basic grain filter over the game that gives it more of a filmic look, and it doesn't feel intrusive like it does in other games that don't get the filter right. I love being able to see things like Samus's fusion suit or other familiar things in the series that are represented in detailed 3D. I always look forward to the 3D cutscenes to get a better glimpse of everything, and love how it suddenly goes from a 2D perspective to a 3D environment during those moments. The lighting is great as you travel through the organic and inorganic environments, from cave systems to synthetic laboratory-like environments. The art style is successful enough where these different styles blend together seamlessly throughout the map. I love how some areas are bright with bloom lighting and wavy haze from the areas of magma in the environment to the subtle cave systems with light shafts breaking through the rock to illuminate the caves. In cold environments, you can see the humidity billowed down from vents and pouring onto platforms, as well as water in warmer areas. It seems like there are some particle physics going on for water, fog, and other environmental effects, and it looks really impressive on Switch. There are a lot of cool and interesting things in the backgrounds where sometimes you have to stop and check it out as if it were a roadside attraction, but you wonder what the heck you're looking at. Even though I feel like I prefer the pixel artwork of this series, I really think this does the Metroid universe justice, and it's cool to see some of the things you've always seen represented with basic graphics translated into detailed 3D. Overall, the graphics are great. I just wish maybe some more creative effort was put into some of the more basic visual elements of the game. To be fair, not all Metroid basic enemies have been mind-blowing in the past. I think it stands out to me just because everything else is so well done. I just expect more sometimes, maybe more than I should. The game controls well and is super responsive. I just wish you could completely bind your controls. I do not like being forced to use the analog stick in a 2D game, and I would rather utilize the directional pad. Maybe I'm a bit too old-fashioned. I'm a bit heavy-handed, especially in tense moments when playing games, so sometimes during intense boss fights, I found myself accidentally shooting diagonally downwards when I tried to crouch and shoot forward, because there's no way to physically feel when the stick is perfectly pushed down like a directional pad. I think with practice this might be a non-issue, but it was something that kept happening to me during my playtime. On the flip side, having the analog controller to directly control Samus in the air during her jumps makes avoiding projectiles so much easier than I ever felt like it has been in the series, which is really nice. The sound design is really good, and the effects themselves feel true to the series and evokes feelings of the previous games. Sometimes the music feels a little bit electronic or MIDI, like from the SNES or Nintendo 64 days, and I would have liked to hear music with real or convincingly real instruments playing from time to time. Maybe they were going for that vibe on purpose versus a limitation or a shortcut. I appreciate the atmospheric quiet levels with the environmental sounds working basically as the soundtrack, but I would have appreciated more musical themes than this game has. That was also an issue I had with the Castlevania Lords of Shadows games. When the music comes on, it really hits, and I just like to have more moments like that. All in all, I think Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch is an amazing game and worth your time. Whatever criticisms I have of the game are super minor, but I wanted to be fair and mention everything. I really enjoyed my time with this and plan to play more in the future. If you're a fan of 2D games, Metroidvania games, or just a fan of the series, I think you can't go wrong. If you are unsure about the Metroid universe or how well you would do with 2D action games, I would check out the Metroid Prime remaster on Switch first, and then maybe check back with the 2D games if you decided you love the universe. This was such a pleasant surprise, and I hope even though this is supposed to wrap up the mainline series, they further explore the series in 2D as well as the 3D Prime series. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you all watching my videos and streams, and I hope this video was informative and enjoyable. Thank you again, and thanks for watching as always.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe! Thanks for watching!